How much is a revocable living trust in Georgia? Imagine what happens to your house, your bank accounts, and your rental properties if you pass away without a trust. In Georgia, any assets in your personal name will have to go through the probate process when you pass away, which can take 9 to 18 months. It can cost tens of thousands of dollars in probate attorney fees, and all of your information becomes public, meaning everyone can see your assets and who those assets are going to. A revocable trust will prevent all of that. It will allow the assets to be inside the trust. When you pass away, that will avoid the probate courts. You won't have to spend money on probate attorneys to take them through the probate process, and all of your assets and who they're going to are going to be private. Let's talk about what the cost of a revocable trust in Georgia is going to look like. Most families are going to start with a single complete package for the revocable trust, which is $3,500. This is going to include the revocable trust itself, a quit claim deed to transfer the property out of your name into the revocable trust, a pourable will which will capture any assets you forget to put inside the trust as your life progresses, and it will dump those into the trust when you pass away, a financial power of attorney so that in the event that you become incapacitated, any assets in your personal name can be managed by someone that you trust, an advance directive for your healthcare so that you can outline the medical decisions that you want to be made when you become incapacitated, and you will appoint someone to make those decisions for you, a HIPAA release form so that your family can access your medical records, and step-by-step funding instructions so that when you have your revocable trust, you will understand exactly how to put assets in there so that as time progresses and you buy and sell new assets, you can put those into the revocable trust. Think of this as a solid foundation for things like your home and your financial accounts so that when you pass away, it will not take 9 to 18 months for your family to take over the ownership of the assets, and they will not have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on probate attorney fees. Now, that was only accounting for a house and financial accounts. If you have other assets like rental properties, out-of-state vacation homes, businesses, how would those look? Each extra piece of property that you own in Georgia is going to be $550 per property. This will include the cost to transfer the assets into the revocable trust out of your name. This will account for things like farmland, parcels of land, rental properties, vacation homes, or anything like that. If you have out-of-state properties, whether it's rental properties or vacation homes, we will have to transfer those properties into the revocable trust. So we have to coordinate with attorneys who are local to that state so that they can execute the transfer of that property into that revocable trust. That's going to cost you $1,100 per state. And if you need to transfer a business into the revocable trust, whether it's a rental property portfolio, a holding company, or an actual business that you're operating, that's going to cost $2,250. What we'll do is update the operating agreement so the trust can actually own the membership interest, and then we'll also transfer the membership interest out of your name into the revocable trust. And then the biggest mistake that people make is not putting all of their assets into that revocable trust. So at the end of this, once we've transferred properties and businesses into that revocable trust, we will give you a funding audit. So when you have financial accounts that you intended to put inside that revocable trust or list the revocable trust as a designated beneficiary on those accounts, we will do a funding audit to make sure everything is set up correctly so that nothing is left in your personal name, forcing it to go through the probate process when you pass away. The funding audit is $750. So let's go through some examples so you can estimate what your total cost would be for a revocable trust in Georgia. Now, the base package that everyone's going to pay for is $3,500. So if you have your personal home that you and your family live in, and then you own one rental property in Georgia, that's going to be $3,500 plus $550, which means that you'll be spending $4,050. If you are an investor in Georgia, you have a family home, 3 rental properties in Georgia, and then a vacation home in Florida, that means you're going to have the basic revocable trust package, which is $3,500. You're going to have 3 properties inside of Georgia at $550 each, and then you're going to have the property in Florida, which would be $1,100, which means that you'll be spending $6,250 to set the revocable trust and transfer all the properties into that revocable trust. Now, let's say you own your family home, you have 2 businesses, and then you have a vacation property out of state. You'll have the revocable trust package at $3,500, 2 businesses at $2,250 each, and then out-of-state property for $1,100, which means that you'll be spending $9,100 to set up your revocable trust and transfer the 2 businesses and the out-of-state property and your primary home into that revocable trust to avoid the probate process. We've set up our revocable trust packages so it's kind of like Lego pieces. You can go in and pick and choose exactly what you want to be set up for that revocable trust package to make sure that the assets you want to avoid probate will actually not go through the probate process. Now, let's assume that you've decided that that's too much money to spend on a revocable revocable trust, how much would you be spending if you have businesses and rental properties and vacation homes and out-of-state properties going through the probate process? This is where it gets very expensive. And so when you have out-of-state properties, you'll have to go through two sets of probate. You have the primary probate in the state that you live in. You have ancillary probate in the state where the other properties are located. And so if it costs $10,000 for a probate attorney in the state that you live in, it will also cost another $10,000 in the state that the other property is in. So it doubles the cost of probate, and it can also extend the timeline for the probate process to be complete. When you have businesses going through the probate process, they are effectively frozen during probate. Your family does not have ownership over the LLC membership interest or the rental properties inside of it, so they cannot make any major decisions. And because you have a more complex asset going through the probate process, it's going to take a lot longer for the probate process to complete, which means that your business or your rental portfolio could go 12 to 24 months without anyone actually being in control over that entity. When you put all of these into the revocable trust, you can keep them in the trust when you pass away. They will avoid the probate courts, and you can distribute them out to your family or have the backup trustee be in control over the management of those assets inside the revocable trust, so there's no hiccups in the ownership and management of those assets inside the revocable trust. If you want help setting any of this up, click the link in the bio, fill out the form, and schedule a time to talk to someone on our team.